5 years ago, my friends Guy and Amir, who own a media company, came to me and said, "We have this idea of starting a women's website. Are you interested?" I answered without even thinking, "Yes, of course, I'm in." Back then, I had a senior position in a leading ad agency, a pretty convenient position, but something was burning inside me, calling me to do something about women equality. The way I see it, the world is dominated by three major areas: politics, business, and media. And the one thing that all these areas has in common is that they are all dominated by men. And since I'm a media person, and I worked all my life in media, and I know the power media has, I was frustrated. Because the fact that men owns most of the media means that men completely dominate the way we see reality. And this is very frustrating to me, especially when I look at the numbers. Women are 51% of the US population, but they own less than 7% of all TV and radio stations. Houston girls, we have a problem. Because we all know the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. And if you don't make the rules, somebody else will make them for you. Well, there are many programs to empower women and to encourage them to step into key positions, but somehow it's not enough. Because the gender gap, especially in politics, in business, and in media, is still huge. And this means something's not working. And this means that maybe we need a different approach. So back then, when Guy and Amir came to me and asked me to join them, I was so excited because I saw the possibility for me to use all knowledge and all experience I had in advertising and use it in order to affect the position of women via media. So I joined them, and we founded Saluna. It was 2010. There were hardly any women websites in Israel, and women media was mostly very old-fashioned and very stereotypical. It was mostly about diets, fashion, recipes, and how to please your man in bed, and so on and so on. So the idea of starting the first opinionated women website blew my mind. We started Saluna, and we focused on grown-up women, mature women by the age of 30, women that has been through things in life, that had so much to say to the world but had no place to say it. We started Saluna with two key objectives. The first one was to lead. We wanted to lead. We wanted to have a strong position in the Israeli media. So we recruited the best women writers. And on the other hand, we wanted to host. We wanted to give women a warm house. We wanted to give every woman a stage to express herself. It took us a year and a half of very hard work, of programming, developing, designing, redesigning, gathering the team, and very exhausting roadshow to raise money from investors and from advertisers. But after a year and a half, we were ready. I'll never forget that day. We were sitting in this little tiny room in our office. We pushed a button, we went online, and then we waited. We waited for women to enthusiastically jump at the opportunity of expressing themselves. Nothing happened. Why? For the first time, there was an opportunity for women to express themselves, to speak their mind. It was such a warm invitation. Where are you? I started talking to women, asking them, and I heard things like, I don't know if I can write, I'm afraid, I'm embarrassed for my husband, for my children, for my colleagues. I don't get along with technology. We hit a wall. And we slowly understood that we have to take here a different approach. Maybe the opposite approach from all the online market. Because the online market is automatic by design, it's all DIY. Relationships in the online market starts and ends with registrations and joining in. And we needed something else. It was clear to us. We needed a different strategy. We needed to look in our audience's eyes. We needed to listen to them and to see what their needs are. And that's what we did. The results were amazing. It didn't all happen in one day, but today Saluna is the most influential women website in Israel. In a country with a population of 8 million, we have more than 1 million visitors per month. 85% of them are women. And we have 8,000 blogs. How did we do it? How did we convince all these women to cross the wall and to join us, to take active part in the online market? We did it by trial and error. And in this amazing process, we found 2 key factors which I believe can be implemented in other areas rather than digital media. In other areas where women are still finding it hard to take the next step forward. Business and politics. And I want to share with you these 3 key factors today. I'd like to call it Women Next Step Triangle. The first angle would be role models. Because we all need role models in order to grow and to develop. We need to look at someone and say, I want to be like her, because that's how our mind works. Because you can't be what you can't see. And following this perception, we recruited the best women writers we could find, opinionated leader women, and women we thought that can pave the way for others. But soon I realized this was not enough. Because ordinary women told me, how can I write next to such great writers, well-known women? So I realized I have no choice. I have to invite them by myself to join Saluna as if I'm inviting them into my house. The story of Saluna became the story of me. I was inviting women to join me and not a website or a blogging platform. Because I realized I have to represent by myself the opportunity I was offering. To be a woman with a strong and clear voice in media. It was very hard work. I went from conference to conference. I went from interview to interview. I walked the talk of my vision. Well, the second angle is helpline mindset. The year was 2010. There were hardly any women bloggers in Israel. Bloggers were mostly geeks, teenagers, or journalists. I guess it was because women over 30, which were not tech natives, find it hard to start a blog. I looked around at all the other websites and platforms, and I saw they all have tutorials, they all have directories, they all had FAQs. But for our audience, this was not enough. I think maybe women over 30 felt like there was kind of subtext there that said, if you don't get along by yourself with technology, maybe you should stay at home. But these were the women we wanted. We wanted these mature women. And we were determined to gather them on Saluna and to give them a place and a voice and an opportunity to express themselves, because we believe they have so much to say and they have things that can change the world. We just didn't know how to do it. At that time, I bought that lamp on IKEA. I opened the box and I took out the manual. Look at this manual. What is the first thing that you see? Well, the first thing I saw was that little man up there, holding his phone, that little person with the phone, saying to me, don't worry, I'm here. If you don't get along, I'll help you. You can always call me. It hit me. Eureka. I came to the office next day and I told my editors, listen, we have to help them. We have to explain to them. We have to take them by the hand, one by one, and teach them how to blog. My editors, of course, say, we're editors. We're not a support group. And I told them, well, you are a support group from now. I told my webmaster, you have to talk to them on the phone and explain to them how to start a blog. And he told me as well, I'm a webmaster, I'm not a hotline. So I told him, you now got a promotion. You are a webmaster and you are a helpline. because I realized we needed a different approach, we needed to act differently from the whole of the online market. I remember we had this blogger, which was a very good one, and every time she wrote, we got a lot of traffic. And I told my editor-in-chief, call her, tell her how much we admire her writing, invite her to come and write more. And she said, are you crazy? I'll call her. She should thank us for giving her the opportunity. Well, my editor is not an arrogant person, not at all. But she grew up in a media that had codes where editors were kings. And if you wanted to go, if you wanted to get to be written on in the press, you had to beg them to do it. But in my eyes, it was totally different. So I insisted, and she called her. And not just that she came back and wrote, but it also became our key strategy, because I realized warmth builds our business. Warmth is our key to success, and that's what we did. You can see us here in Mitzpe Ramon. Mitzpe Ramon is a very, very small town in the desert, in the south of Israel. We went there, we sat with women, and we helped them to start a blog. And that's what we did for 2.5 years. And after 2.5 years of warmth and gentle care, a community was born. Which brings me to the third angle. Slowly we saw the community emerge. More and more bloggers were coming, and they were bringing their friends. It was mostly women, but also some men. So we opened this group on Facebook just to interact, to answer platform questions, and to suggest topics to write about. And suddenly an amazing thing happened. They started talking to one another. They started to share blogs and thoughts. They asked questions, and they answered one another before we even have the chance to interfere. The community started to have a life of its own without us. And then they moved into personal relationship, sharing very intimate things like unemployment, like divorce, like my son is gay, my boyfriend left me, my mother has died. The bloggers community have become such a supportive place that it gave women a big hug and feeling that they are hugged and supported, that they have the power to grow and share. So we took a step back, and we became only the facilitators, giving the community the place and condition to grow. And it grew, and it grew, and it grew so much. And it made me realize that in order to help women take the next step, overcome barriers and cross walls, it's not just the role models to look up to, it's not just a helpline to pull them in, but it's also a sense of community. Because women need to look aside and to meet another woman's eyes that say, it's okay, you can do it, and I'm here right by your side. Women grow in a community and they get stronger. So I think that the thing about community, which I know very well because I come from a community. I come from a kibbutz. I grew up in kibbutz Kfar Blu. My grandparents were its founders. I left the kibbutz when I was 20. I was bored. I thought it was old-fashioned, non-relevant. I was dazzled by the city of Tel Aviv and all the opportunities that were there. And look at me, 20 years later, more than 20 years later, I find myself standing here and founding the digital kibbutz. I believe that these three key factors that helped us so much, role models, helpline, and community, can be implemented in all other areas, such as business and politics, where women still find it hard to take the next step. Because in every area, we have walls, we bump into walls, so the first thing would be to identify the walls. The next thing would be to think which kind of helpline is needed, what kind of community can give the best support, and who are the role models that can encourage women and can make them take the next step forward.